Army tanks and trucks coming around the corner, right towards me, right in front of me, and these had white stars painted on the side instead of swastikas. And there were soldiers in these tanks and trucks, and they were pleasant. They were smiling and waving at us. This was a shock to me because I had seen many soldiers in green uniforms, but they were always serious, nasty, threatening, and not very pleasant. But these people were friendly and nice and pleasant. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And so my parents came down. They stood beside me, and as this happened, we all cried because we realized our prayers had been answered. And there were Canadians and American troops. And my brother and his friends, they were just so excited. At one point, I saw my brother riding on one of the tanks on the side and waving at everybody. It was such excitement. Suddenly, freedom had come in our neighborhood. And I'm telling you, this was it was like a positive culture shock for me, because that's what we had hoped for 5 long years, and it never came until that day. And freedom is just so precious. It is so wonderful and amazing. It was like I went from hell to heaven on that day, and I've never forgotten that. So after the war, I had a strong motivation. It's like the Lord put a vision in the back of my head. I had to go see that country where these freedom fighters came from. These people that go to another country, kick the enemy out, and give us freedom. It was just awesome. And that's how I came to America, because after the war, my father would say, John, you need to get a good education, and you need to get a good job, and all that sort of thing, and I understood that. But I said, yes, Dad, I know, but I needed to go to America. And so I write in my book the struggles that I had to go through to get to America, because we couldn't afford a ticket on a plane or a boat. And I tried every which way to get to America, but the only way I could was to become a sailor on the Merchant Marines. So I did, and that's how I came to America eventually. And you'll hear the story, and read the story in the book. This is such a wonderful country, and with God having started this country, the principles of the founding fathers, it's just so beautiful here.
I took an oath when I was 17 to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I don't believe there was an expiration date on that.
That's right. And I'm so grateful for all the veterans, all the soldiers, even today's veterans. I'm grateful for the military that they volunteer to go fight for freedom, which is an awesome concept. And I'm so grateful for them. I'll never forget it.
Well, I volunteered for Vietnam, but it wasn't a just war. There was no reason for us to be there,
Yeah, that was sad. Right.
Tell me about what you see with your experience from your viewpoint. What do you see happening here in America? What do you see coming ahead for us? Is it? I mean, what we were founded on is not necessarily what we have now. How do you feel about
that's right. And I think the political correctness has sneaked in. The Federal Reserve System that started in 1913, and just the slow degradation of morals and values and principles, and compromising principles that slowly has deteriorated us to a great extent. But I still think there's hope for America. I like Glenn Beck, what he is preaching and teaching, and even though I know he's a Mormon, but I still like what he has to say. And there's a remnant in this country. There is a remnant that is praying for this country, and I believe God answers the prayers of remnants. And so I think there will be a change, and I think a change for the positive, and hopefully it will happen today.
Well, that's what this show and my magazine has always been about, John.
Uh-huh.
I just want to know the truth, and then I'll prepare for it in the best way that we can. I've got a website that I'm putting up that I'm linking on that has has a mission statement on it. They and they draw from Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, said the single most important quality needed to resist evil is moral autonomy. Moral autonomy is possible only through reflection, self-determination, and the courage not to cooperate.
Yes, that's right.
Every nation, culture, religion, peoples on this planet for the first time are currently under attack as never before in the known history of the world. All the misery of the planet Earth is due to resource wars, greed, oligarchy, CEOs from Wall Street pressing on politicians to grab territory, oil, minerals, uranium, spending enormous wealth as a percentage of GDP of all nations in a planned permanent wartime economy for the benefit of a few families. The leaders of all of our nations turned the entire system of death, grief, barbarism, perversion, and extraction of wealth and blood of our children as slaves as a perceived asset, soon to be branded cattle. This must stop and will stop through people-to-people initiative. If we have the courage not to cooperate and to recognize good from evil, we have a shot here. We have a chance here.
That's right, and I think God has his hand on America. I don't think God's going to let America go down the tubes, because I think of that remnant that prays, and that we are, not because in our own power, but with the help of God, can we turn this thing around.
I think that's quite possible. That's quite possible.
Yes, I certainly hope that will happen. But I was...
Let's get some information out. Let's give some more information out on your book, where they can get it, what your website is, and anyway, people can contact you by email or whatever.
Yeah, it's called From Tyranny to Freedom. It's available at all bookstores around the country, Barnes & Nobles, Borders, Amazon, and the website is http John Vandenberge, and that's John Vandenberge, spelled VANDENBERGE Tate Publishing.net. So JohnVandenberge.TatePublishing.net.
All right, and that is linked on my website here.
Good, and thank you. And Tate Publishing has been wonderful. They've been so helpful. And,
tell me about them. I'm looking for another publisher, possibly.
The number of the publisher?
I said I'm looking for another publisher. I've got somebody that's printing my books, but I don't have the distribution. How are they on distribution?
Yeah, they're very good. There's one man that promotes, does the marketing for it, and he's got me a television interview.
You got